Hello, thank you for watching this video. This is ISMS implementation. How do our organization implement ISMS, and after implementation, how do you maintain it? So ISMS stands for Information Security Management System, which we know. So we're going to be just briefly reviewing, what steps you need to take to implement it. And after implementation, how do you maintain it? So basically, like we know, ISMS, Information Security Management System. But before we go deep down, let us also look at what is a management system. Remember, we have IS, Information Security. We have MS, that is Management System. That gives the full ISMS. So let's break it down. What is a management system? Basically, just like the use of policies, processes, procedure, organization use in running their businesses, for them, organization to achieve business objective. Remember here, we're not talking about security. We're not talking about cyber security at this level. We're talking about just systems that are in place, that organization put in place to run the business. For example, they have their accounting department, production, human resources, and others. And they have all their policies on how they want to procedure, on how they want to process payment, how they want to maintain quality management, and stuff like that. So that is management system. Those are tasks, action to be taken. They are all drafted in form of policies or procedure on how they want to achieve the company objective, profitability or sales or whatever. And then what is an ISMS? So we talk about information security. Now we talked about management system. Information security, which you and I know is steps what to do to preserve, to protect confidentiality, availability, and integrity of information and data, how you can secure data, what steps you need to take to secure your environment, secure your data, secure your information, and protect your systems. So when you talk about information security management system, we talk about, you bringing security into the management system, bringing security into your management system. And then if you have a system in place for hiring, a system in place for production, for your accounting system in place, your payroll system in place. Now you're now bringing security into the operation. So we have all the policies. So information security is like using policies, procedure, systems, to protect. Apart from running the organization, running the system of the organization, you are now bringing security into those processes. So, in other words, for you to be able to protect the data that is being processed, the information that is being processed, the network, the technology you are using to process those information, for example, your accounting system, your payroll system, and all that, you're now bringing security into those into the management system which you already established. How can you do them in a secure manner? So we talk about the link. What is the link between this management system and your information security management system? What is the link, between the management system and your ISMS? So let me give an example. Like I said here, that you are already, hiring. you have human resources department as a management system. So you want to hire somebody, they will advertise, they're going to who are going to apply, interview, they hire somebody, or the person resumes work, they give him system or laptop or computer to work with, give him password and stuff like that. And then, yeah, that's the usual way. But if you are now bringing security into that human resources system, it's not going to be business as usual. You are not going to hire in a more secure way. So rather than just hiring and resuming the person, you need to come up with a system. Go through, let the person before you hire him, do a background check to ensure that you are hiring the right person. So that is security. And when the person resumes, you will not just give him access to your system, give him password on computer to start working. You are going to ensure that you are going to conduct induction to ensure that the person is properly inducted. He's going to be trained on how to use your system, on how things work, your do's and don'ts. You're going to also train him on how, on cyber security, on how to protect yourself. So you are now bringing security into the human resources management system. So that is the link between, your management system and your ISMS. So next we are going to be looking at next slide. We're going to be looking at how do you establish an ISMS? How can an ISMS be established? And that is going to be our next slide. But before then, just a brief introduction of what we do in case you are, struggling to pass your interviews. You've been getting interview, but you are struggling to pass interviews on GRC. We have the answers. We do one-on-one mentoring, prepare people for interview. We got a lot of testimonies of people who got jobs, using our mentoring system. So contact us for mentoring. If you, for example, you're not getting interviews at all because you don't have experience and all stuff like that, we help you with all that, job experience and all that. So contact us for if you want a full training as well, maybe you have not been trained, you want to look at how to get into cybersecurity. We have training both recorded and live sessions. Contact details are there. And then don't forget, we appreciate if you can subscribe to our channel so that you can get notification when we get the next video out. And then comments. Tell us what you want us to do, which topic you want us to come up with. Ask question. People ask question and we answer, or anything you don't understand. So let's move on to establishment of ISMS. How do you establish it? For example, you have a management system in place. You want to bring security into the process. Where do you start from? How do you establish it? First of all, you need to define your scope, the scope of the ISMS. To define your scope, and not just defining your scope, and then you need to also establish objective. What objective? What do you want to achieve with the ISMS? For example, we want to ensure that we maintain our customer, we protect our customers' record. We want to also ensure that we comply with regulation. We want to ensure that we have less incidents. Then define your objective. And then scope. It means that what systems are you protecting? What system is covered? So people, staff, contractor. So this ISMS could be like, okay, it covers our staff, our contractors, anybody doing business with us, covers our system, covers our branches and division head office and stuff like that. So you have to come up with the scope and come up with the objective of what you want to achieve by establishing an ISMS. And then you need to conduct, risk assessment. Conducting risk assessment here is like, you want to establish an ISMS, you want to bring in security into your processes. So the best thing is to, first of all, what asset do you have? What do you have? Because in conducting your management system, your normal businesses, you use tools, you use technologies. For example, accounting system, human resources system, no matter of software, hardware. So you need to know, first of all, what assets do you have? What tools, what technology are you using to run your organization? And then what are the exposures? What risks do they face? You know, what are the exposures or weaknesses or the risk that this your technology? So you need to understand the tools you are using, the technology you are using, asset you are using, and be able to establish what can go wrong with them. So you conduct your risk assessment. Have good knowledge of what you want to protect. Remember, we're talking about establishing an ISMS, information security. What do you want to protect? How can you protect them? So that's why you need to know your environment. What are your threats? What threats? What is the industry that you operate in? What is the common thread around the industry? For example, the payment card industry have card, thread around card, people's cards, card, cards, and payment system. So you need to know what exactly your environment. So, and then this is not about risk assessment. I have another video on how to conduct risk assessment. I can drop it on the chat or check my YouTube channel. You get that video. So you need to know what you want to protect and how you want to protect them. And then the next thing is to develop a risk management plan. In other words, you already know your risk. You already know what your risk, what your exposures are, and then you need to come up with a plan on how we want to treat this risk. Because when you have a risk, you need to mitigate those risks, bring them down. You need to avoid them, if possible, avoid them, or come up with a plan and how we want to treat our exposures. If we are attacked, how do we want to ensure that we are not attacked or we are not successfully attacked? So you come up with this plan. You already identify the risk. For example, you want to build house in a flooded environment. You have assessed the risk. That means flood can, or your building can be can be prone or can be exposed to flood. So what are you going to do? You're going to make sure you have a very deep foundation. So you have assessed risk to take that risk to avoid that flood. You're going to come up with a very deep foundation, high DPC level. So that's a risk treatment plan. And then you can decide to adopt a standard because we have security standard like ISO 27001, Cyber Essentials, SOC 2, PCI DSS. These are standard of frameworks. You can decide not to get certified to them, but you can just borrow their controls. The controls they have in those standards. You can just borrow them. Okay, we want to adopt the controls in this particular security standard, or want to implement best practice at the least. So you can just adopt that the controls, their requirement, what they say you should do, even when you are not going to be audited because you are not getting certified to read. Just borrow their controls, and then after that, what are you going to do next? Then come up with ISMS policies. Policies here now is based on what you want to protect. So what is a policy? Policy is like a document, that contains how you want to conduct your security, how you want to protect yourself. What are the steps? What will you be doing? For example, you have a password security policy. There is an ISMS policy, and it details how you want to configure your password. Our password will be 8 characters, mixture of this, mixture of capital letter, small letter. So that is your policy of how you want to. So you establish those ISMS policies. And your policies is based on what you want to protect. And so most time also your policy could be based on what the standard you're adopting, they have, your policies is based on the controls in those standards or the controls you want to, implement. And then when you have drafted your policies, you define roles and responsibilities. Most time policies will also contain roles and responsibilities of individuals. That means on this particular policy or this particular control we want to establish, for example, the password security control, who does what? So you can say in this policy or in that password policy, the engineering guy, the IT guy will do the configuration, and then every staff, and then every member of staff will ensure that they apply or they follow the rules as stated in your policy. So everyone who will start the process, and both those who will configure the process and those who are the end users of the process must have a role to play to ensure that that policy is implemented. So define roles and responsibilities, and then you start implementing the controls. Start implementing them, start putting them to practice. You have all your controls, your password, your access control, your incident management, how you want to manage incident when you have incident, your suppliers, security. So in other words, for every control you want to implement, you must document a policy for it. And so you now implement the controls based on what you have in your policy. So you now start implementing the control. So we're still going to still use the password security control, or let's use something else. For example, we have a policy around our human resources, like human resources hiring, joiners, movers, and leavers policy, JML policy. So we have already documented in the policy that we are now, instead of hiring as usual, we're now bringing security. So our policy says before you, like I said before you hire, you must do background check. And so implementing that policy or implementing that control means that you are now doing the background check, which you are not doing before. And then before the person gets gain access to your system, before you give him laptop or and their login details, person need to go through induction. So you're already implementing that your human resources security control. So you are implementing them, including your password is configured. You're already using the 8-character password, not 7-character. That means already implementing that password, control. And it's already and it's documented in your policy how you want to implement it. And then you need to train and educate your staff, because normally everybody in the organization has its own deliverable. The HR guy has his or her own deliverable. Hire, maintain. When the person leaves, they do training and all that. But they need to be trained and educated, because things are going to change. You're not bringing security into the process. The person who used to hire without doing background check will ask you, how do we go about it? Because we used to hire without doing background check. You're now bringing security into the hiring process. They need to be trained how to conduct security, how to get, connect with people that do DBS, or how to do DBS check and how to do background check. So you need to be trained on that, because it's not used to it. And then when the person, for example, when the staff leaves, normally what we do is to just collect our laptop and stuff like that, remove the person's access. So, and then sometimes the access policy can say, access control policy can say, remove the person's access within 24 hours, which they don't usually do. Maybe they can just remove the person's access anytime they remember. But now you are bringing security, it must be done within 24 hours. You need to train them on new ways of working. Things have changed. And then What next? You monitor and ensure you review. Monitor, ensure you review. Once you, for example, you are now monitoring the process, and then is the HR now hiring the new way with security in mind, or is he hiring the old way? So that it happens even when you have a new ISMS. People tend to still be doing things the old way. That is why it requires monitoring to ensure that things are going the way it is planned. That they are being done based on your policies. Security is now being incorporated, so you need to monitor and review. And then, yeah. So next, we're looking at just don't forget also that there's a need for documentation. What I mean by documentation, once you monitor, you review, anything that you discover in the process, you need to document them. If there's anything like non-conformity, or there are deviations from what your plan is, you need to document them. Yeah, these are our findings, these are our deviation from our monitoring activities. These are the things we found out. Things are not being done well in this particular area. So yeah, document your findings, document the process, how it's going. And then let's look at how do you maintain an ISMS. Most time in interview, there are more questions around, tell me your experience. Have you in maintaining an information security management system? It could be like a security standard, like you have in your CV that you have a knowledge of ISO 27001. Can you talk me through how you maintain it? Because what it means is that the organization is already, the ISMS is already established. They're not talking about, now that it has been established, how do you maintain it going forward? Because it's not enough to just establish and put everything in place. You need to maintain it, just like you build a house, whatever, or you buy a car. So what we've done in the establishment is to buy a car and start driving, but you need to be maintained for the car to remain, serve its purpose. You need to be maintained. The house needs to be maintained, otherwise it's going to depreciate. And then, so how do you maintain an ISMS? Mostly it's an interview question. They normally ask, tell us how you maintain, experience in maintaining. So you have established it, how do you maintain it? So basically, having established it, like what we ended with, is to continuously monitor the ISMS, continuously monitor processes, continuously monitor your systems, your processes, your procedures. Are they being carried out? Are they meeting your needs? Are they effective? Are they protecting you? You have a password security. Question is that, is the password security really protecting you? You have HR system that you conduct background check, and then before you hire somebody, but is the background check, is it working? Or you're still hiring people who have questionable character despite the background check and stuff like that? So you need to continuously monitor how things are turning out. Is it turning out for good? Or is it making things better? Is it making things worse? Or nothing seems to have changed? Or are you now having more troubles, more problems? Because you are bringing security into the management system. Is it causing you more problems? Is it causing you delay in your processes? Are there flaws? So you keep monitoring to see, are they working? Are they improving? Is the benefit, does he and outweigh the cost or the effort? So, and then, so, and conduct regular audit. To maintain it, need to conduct regular audit. regular audit, or what I call control testing, or regular audit, normal audit, test to audit whether things are going according to plan, or know the purpose of audit. Yeah, so you do regular auditing, test your controls if they are working. Audit is to ensure that are there any area of risk that you can discover. Audit is that are they are the systems working according to your policy? You're auditing against your policy. Are they being implemented? Are they effective? Are they protecting you? Are they following regulation? Are they following the laws of the land or the laws of the company? Or are they following the requirement of the standard you have adopted? So you audit and test your control, and then you do management review meetings. You review your processes monthly or whatever, or have agenda to review your audit, the result of your audit, the result of your monitoring, what is happening, what is working and what is not working, so that you can come up with the improvement. So you continuously do your management review, and you have to ensure you have an incident management process in place. Incident management, if there are incidents, how do you manage it? So you establish that in place, because that is part of maintenance. Because if you have an incident and you cannot contain the incident, then you cannot continue to maintain that ISMS. If attackers are able to break your password rule and able to gain access into your system, how do you put yourself together? What are the things you need to have in place to ensure that you quickly block that attack? So you need to implement a system of incident management in place, and then to maintain it. In establishing it, remember we did risk assessment, and then you need to update your risk assessment. For example, you have um, a risk assessment process in place already, and risk treatment, but you need to be updated, because you assess risk based on current to establish what is the current threat that we are facing, and then that was when you established. But now threats don't remain the same. Like criminals, they keep evolving, they keep changing tactics, they keep changing their attack system, come up with new. So your risk assessment cannot remain the same, because the risk that you have a risk assessed and you protect yourself now. The next 2-3 months, things will change that your control can no longer work. So you need to increase the control, tweak it, improve on it, to be able to flow with the trend or changes in threat or changes in attack vectors. So you need to update your risk treatment, and then if there are changes in the organization, there could be changes in the organization, changes in the industry, changes in regulation. So you need to ensure that your risk is updated and reviewed, and then you need to continuously conduct training and awareness, train your staff continuously. You are training them. It's not just about watching videos, because most organizations, the only training they do is that you watch video at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of the year, the next year again, you watch the same videos. That will not help. You need to continuously come up with topics, training topics, to train people on new threats. Oh, this is what just happened. For example, we heard about recently, the crowd strike. That just that incident that happened. Crowd strike and Microsoft, how it affected a lot of systems. So right now we are discussing in our organization what are the lessons we have learned from that incident that affected CrowdStrike. And then so we are getting lessons from there, and then from there we now train ourselves and update our system. And so for us to avoid such, this is what we need to do. So you continuously train based on breaches, based on incident, based on new risk, based on your actual training program is like around the year. And then you need to continuously update your policies, update your procedure. They cannot remain the same, because when there are changes in risk, your policies must change. For example, you have a 8-character password. For any reason that 8-character password is no longer working for you, you need to change the policy to 10 characters. That's update. You have updated the policy, or it's no longer working for you because attackers are not taking advantage of it. So you need to make it more complex. And in anything, if you want to change your control, you want to increase it, you want to improve on it, you have to change your policy to reflect the new way you want to protect that particular um, asset or risk. So you have to change you update your policy. Normally, your policies are updated, annually, but you also update your policy when there are changes in regulation, when there are changes in risk, changes in technology. For example, you have a new technology now. You have a technology you are using before, but you now have an updated version of the technology that comes with additional security. You're going to change your policy to accommodate the changes in technology, accommodate the changes in risk. If regulation have changed, or if the standard you have adopted has changed, there's a new version. You're going to update your policy to accommodate those new changes. So definitely, yeah. And then improvement plan. Come up with improvement plan. Based on the findings, based on the audit or regular audit you have done, control testing, management review, based on incident that you have had, the result of your risk assessment, and all, so you are going to come up with what improvement can we make, because ISMS need to be improved upon. It cannot remain static. It's a live document, it's a live system. It needs to be improved upon. So how can you improve based on your audit? What were your findings? What were the areas of non-conformity or deviations? So how can you improve? You come up with that improvement plan of what you need to do differently to make things better. Or maybe if the ISMS is like delaying your process, making the process longer, more complicated, how can you make it to come up with process improvement? And then you have to stay compliant. Stay compliant. What does that mean? Staying compliant is like I said before, the things that will make your policies to change are any changes in anything. When there could be, the law of the land can change. Your regulators can change their laws regarding security. Regulators can say, okay, you are doing, for example, or maybe your client or your customers, yeah, they can change. Who they're giving you money. Your contract with them can change, or your regulators can change. Even the standard like ISO 27001 or whatever standard you are adopting, or even best practice, they can change. So you have to stay compliant. In other words, change with the change. Any change with the change in threat, change with the change in regulation, change with the change in your standard, change. So you have to stay compliant to them. If your regulators say they no longer want 8 characters, they want 10 characters, or your standard you are adopting says they want 10 characters, or your customers you say they want 10 characters password, no longer 8. You have to stay compliant with those regulations, but not forgetting that as long as it also meets your own objective, and you're also sure your system can accommodate it, but you must comply with those regulations. So that's why you must stay compliant. Yeah, so you are monitoring changes in regulation, changes in risk, changes in threat, changes in standing requirement of the standard, changes in the law of the land, country where your business is. So you have to even changes in data protection. You have to ensure that you are keep yourself up to date with those changes. And then maybe lastly, certification maintenance. Yeah, like if you are certified to any standard, definitely the same thing that you did before to get you the certification. That's the same thing you keep doing to get you recertified. After doing all this, can invite your external auditors to come and audit you, and then they can now renew your certificate. And yeah, so basically that's, thank you for watching. Like I said, subscribe, share, comment, ask us questions. If you want any of our services, you want to contact us for anything, just start the contact details. And we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for, and then please see you in our next video.